Hey everyone, welcome back to this week's installment of the SynapseML video series. Today, we're going to be taking what we've learned about the cognitive services on Spark and applying it to do something fun. In particular, we're going to create a massive multilingual search engine from unstructured data that we have in storage. We'll start off by uploading a large quantity of forms to a storage account so we can access it on Synapse. We'll then apply distributed form recognition, a cognitive service integration part of SynapseML, to extract key information from these forms. We'll standardize and clean up this information with the SynapseML form ontology learner, and then we'll localize it in a variety of different languages using SynapseML's distributed translation APIs. Finally, we'll take this information and we'll put it inside a custom search engine, and we'll explore this data within a Synapse notebook. So let's get started. The first step is going to be to load in our data. Here we'll use spark.read.binary file to create a data frame of URLs pointing to our forms. Our forms here are from Tailwind Traders, and they contain information about purchases, who purchased them, and where they were purchased. With our forms in a data frame, we can now pump these through SynapseML's Analyze Invoices API to get information on each one of these invoices from the cognitive services. This contains all sorts of things about the words, texts, and fields of this document, albeit in a complex format. So, in order to make this a bit easier to work with, we'll use SynapseML's form ontology learner here to flatten this out into a nice, simple SQL table. Now that we have our forms expressed as a table, we want to share this with the rest of our colleagues all over the world. In order to do this, we'll need to localize this information into the languages that they speak. Here, using SynapseML, I've added a translations column that adds translations of this description into Russian, Chinese, French, and Welsh. You can add as many as you like here. But what do we do when we get inevitably reorged to a team who doesn't speak Chinese, French, Russian, or Welsh? In order to communicate with them, we're going to need to translate to the universal language of millennials, the emoji. This isn't just your standard text analytics task. It's going to require a bigger hammer than just a regular translation service. In particular, it's going to require a 175 billion parameter hammer called GPT-3 from OpenAI. This algorithm completes sentences at near human parity, and we can use this to solve a variety of natural language tasks. Here, I've prompted it by giving it some examples of emoji translation. 2 ducks map to 2 ducks, a light bulb to a light bulb, a car to a car, and our item description here will hopefully map to a reasonable emoji translation. And applying this with SynapseML, we can very easily append a column of emojis to our data frame, and as you can see, it's fairly reasonable. A door maps to a door, a hammer to a hammer, and even the crazy things like 2 singing gnomes maps to a music note with 2 hooks on it. Moreover, we can even interactively explore this data with Synapse live charting utilities. And as you can see, the emojis are placed right next to the description, so even if you don't speak English, you can kind of get a gist for what this chart's telling you. Now that we understand our data, we can go ahead and deploy this as a search engine. In just a few lines of SynapseML, we can write this entire data frame out to an Azure search index that we can then query immediately after. And we can see that our query returns our emojis, our translations, and all the other information held in our forms. And just like that, we've used SynapseML to take a messy pile of forms and turn it into a nice, organized search engine with emoji translations. So have a great rest of your day, and thanks for listening.